Welcome back to Everyday Stoic. Today's lesson will be about the Latin phrase Memento Mori, which means remember that you will die.
Memento Mori. Death is an inevitable part of life. We are constantly bombarded with the fear of dying, the idea that we're running out of time, and the fragility of life. It's in our nature to run away from death, fight, or flight. However, death is the only thing that is certain in our lives. Although the thought is daunting and scary, the Stoics believed that we shouldn't be protected from the scary parts of life, and instead, we should embrace them, using them as a point of motivation. Memento Mori is Latin for remember that you will die, or remember you are mortal. A powerful idea, the formula for great insights, breakthroughs, and wisdom. Death makes our lives important and meaningful. It creates priority and gives us the perspective to focus on what is important in our lives. With that being said, how can we possibly find inspiration in our mortality when we are so used to turning our heads to it? Here's 5 mindsets that help us memento mori. Number 1, we have to learn to accept what seems unacceptable. Knowing the inevitability of death allows us to see death as a reminder of the life we have right this moment. As we weave this idea into our lives, we realize that, yes, death is scary and unknown, but we have supreme power and control over our actions. Through actions, we prove ourselves. Through actions, we have the ability to live a virtuous life by possessing all 4 of the cardinal virtues: prudence, justice, temperance, and fortitude. By accepting the unacceptable, we can wake up every day and see this new day as another opportunity to take action and make the moment count, walking toward the path of virtue. Number 2, what makes life exciting and meaningful is because it is not infinite. Through this, it's clear that we need to take action in order to create purpose in our lives, remembering that everything you do today repeats itself throughout time. Throughout generations, we are constantly creating a lasting impact. With the finite time that you have, you're given a chance to make a difference that will impact on what is yet to come. Aurelius himself wrote his 17 entries for his journal, Meditations, devoted to the people that helped build Marcus into the person that he became. We are all teachers. We are all creating an impact. Number 3, we're aiming to complete the picture, finish the final details, and finally feel at peace with the piece of art you've created. By thinking of death as a natural process, it facilitates the completion of this picture. Just like the Stoics, we must view death as natural, as a return to nature. In his award-winning book, The Denial of Death, Ernest Becker argues, the irony of man's condition is that the deepest need is to be free of the anxiety of death and annihilation, but it is in life itself which awakens it. And so we must shrink from being fully alive. By avoiding our own mortality, we are ignoring and denying nature. We are being ignorant to the truths of our life. It's easy to say these words, but how could we possibly embrace a concept so scary and painful? We have to teach ourselves to live not for tomorrow, not for yesterday, but for today. We have this moment, right now. Number 4. Although the teachers are gone, their lessons remain. Marcus Aurelius refused to eat or drink in his final days in order to speed up the process of his death. Seneca forced to commit suicide after he was accused of plotting against the Emperor Nero. Cato refusing to live under oppressive tyranny, taking his own life by thrusting a sword into his chest. Each of these men knew how to embrace death, assessing and accepting their fates. They did not run. They did not fight against fate. Instead, they turned towards death, living virtuously as possible until their final breaths. Death swept away the Stoic teachers. However, what is important is the actions they took in their own life to live on beyond their death. Finally, number 5. Preparing yourself for the inevitable, the most important mindset of all. By accepting fate, we can embrace what is scary and daunting, allowing us to delve deeper into the present moment. Instead of wasting our moments on pointless and ungratifying activities, we can instead embrace our ability to read, to grow, to fight, to improve, and to ultimately create lives we want. Robert Greene meditates on death in the last section of his book, The Laws of Human Nature, stating that, with this continual awareness, we can see what really matters, how petty squabbles and side pursuits are irritating distractions. Greene offers 5 strategies to meditate death and overcome fear. 1. Make awareness visceral. 2. Awaken ourselves to the shortness of life. 3. See mortality in everyone. 4. Embrace all pain and adversity. And 5. Open the mind to the sublime. We have control over our time and over our actions. Even if we cannot predict the future, we have to value the moment. Death will come, but we have been given the opportunity to face it with dignity, just like the Stoics would. In Marcus Aurelius' thoughts on death, he reflects this concept of Memento Mori. In his book Meditations, he reminds himself that death, like birth, is just a natural process, material elements combining, growing, decaying, and finally separating and completely dispersing. Aurelius embraces the nature of death, reminding himself that it is not death that a man should fear, but rather he should fear never beginning to live. As an emperor, the temperamental essence of life would have been an important factor in his life. The security that he possessed through looking at life through a different perspective proves to us the power that Memento Mori holds. Seneca called for managing the emotions regarding death in a measured and reasonable manner. In a brutal reality check, Seneca becomes the mouthpiece of nature, claiming, "To everyone nature says, I do not deceive any person. If you choose to have children, they may be handsome or they may be deformed. Perhaps they will be born dumb. One of them may perhaps prove the savior of his country, or perhaps its betrayer. If you still choose to rear children after I have explained these conditions to you, you render yourself incapable of blaming the gods, for they never guaranteed anything to you. Through this, Seneca introduces an argument which suggests one should not fear death, in fact stating that death is freedom from evil and dread. Death is neither good nor bad, giving an analogy that expresses the true nature of life. Life is like an inn that we all will leave in order to make space for another guest. Seneca concludes his argument on death with an important reminder. We should evaluate our life not by years, but by virtue. Value comes from what you've accomplished, rather than the years you've lived through.
Thank you for listening to Everyday Stoic. I hope today's lesson helped ease your anxiety towards death and added some value to your life. If you want to check out the book by Ernest Becker, then check the description where you can see the Audible link and the Amazon link. If you want to support the channel, then please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future lessons. Follow us on Instagram for daily memes, affirmations, lessons and quotes, and sometimes I do Q&As. And as always, have a blessed and stoic day, and I'll see you in the next one.